So I'm recording this and I'm going to make it available for you guys in a link in Blackboard. And these are the key concepts here. We'll be talking about science, critical thinking, characteristics between the living organisms, level of organization, starting from the smallest unit until the largest units. We will be doing that. So science, by definition, is a scientific way of getting information about natural world. Yes, they can ask you a question about that. What is science in general? And scientific method is even more important. They will ask you about this because it is something that you have to know. It's basically scientific method is scientists explain natural phenomena by making and testing prediction. They see something and they say, okay, we're seeing this, why the temperature gets lower during nighttime. This is something that we noticed. This is a natural phenomenon. And then prediction is, it's because the Earth is rotating and getting closer and getting away from the sun. Let's make sure that this is actually happening. We're testing this prediction until we come up with an idea. This is called the scientific methods. It's not like it's just an opinion. No, it is phenomenon, natural phenomena. You get a prediction and test your prediction. And you have to search for evidence. Searching for evidence, does that mean that to prove your point is true? No. It's you need to expect that your prediction can be correct and can be false or incorrect. Prove or disprove your explanation. Okay, and this is how it works. Like your laptop is not working. This is something that you see. My prediction is the battery is out of charge. And then I plug in the adapter and I wait for it to charge. I tried to open it, it opened. In this case, my prediction was correct, right? Or if I do that and it doesn't open, this is disproving my prediction. And then I have to move to another prediction. Maybe there is the connection, the plugin of the computer is bad. This is my second prediction, and so on. This is how it works. So scientific method. You observe something. This is your first. These steps are important in that sequence. So you need to know this. You start with observation. Just to make it practical, my laptop is not opening. This is just observation of something that happened. And then I'm going to ask a question. In that sequence is important. Number two, asking a question. Is that because it's out of power, maybe? And then I'm going to make hypothesis. Hypothesis completely different from theory. All the details that I'm talking about will be questions. Okay, and I'm not spreading all over or something. I'm telling you exactly that you have to know this. This is a core. Hypothesis. Is that the theory? No, that's not correct. Hypothesis is possible explanation. Prediction will be followed by prediction. So a possible explanation is, which is the hypothesis, out of charge. Prediction, that's number three. If I plug in the adapter, it will start to charge and then it's going to work. Number five, I'm going to test my prediction. I'm not going to assume that it is correct. I'm going to test my prediction and I have to take both results. It can prove or disprove. Okay, so what's the experiment that I'm going to do? What kind of experiment? To test my prediction. What kind of test? Plugging in the adapter. And then I will have to repeat it. This is the next one. You have to repeat the test. Wait until sometime it's charged. Next time it doesn't work, do the same thing. So if you repeat and you see that the battery, let's say it take charge for like, and then disconnect in like 5 minutes. Okay, if you repeat it, you know now that it is actually the battery. Okay, and then you're going to analysis. This is the next step, which is, okay, I get the point. The laptop has a battery and the battery can be good, can be short lifetime. And I tested it and I found out that the battery is bad. And that's why it's running out of charge. And I repeated that several times. And I made sure that this is actually the fact. And then I'm going to report the test results and I'm going to say, okay, here it is what I found. When the computer was not opening, I did this, this, and that. And this was my hypothesis. This is was my prediction. This is how I tested it. And this is how I repeated it. And then the results was, yes, it was the battery. And this is will come to my conclusion. The battery can be bad or it is bad. So here is another thing. Observation, light would not go on. Why? I don't know. This is something that I observed. Let me make prediction or hypothesis. Maybe the button is not on. Okay, so here it is. This is B. Prediction. If I turn it on, push it up, it's going to turn on. Experiment. Go ahead and turn it on and off. On and off. Yes. So this is the issue. I'm going to analyze. I'm going to have to make, this is just a prediction. It can be like the fuse or the electric circuit or something. So it's the same idea. So if I do that, like next step, if it doesn't work, I can go to the next step. So what's observation in this case? The light wouldn't go on. Hypothesis. Okay, this time my hypothesis or prediction is the circuit is bad. Make a prediction. If I fix the circuit, the light will come back on. I'm going to do an experiment. When I have somebody and I go down, I will fix it. I will turn it on and off and tell me if that's working or not. It's not working, yes. I will turn it off. Try again, yes. So I'm going to analyze the result. This is what I did, which is when the light is not working, I tried the button, didn't work. I tried the circuit a couple of times, which is the experiment, and I came to this conclusion, which is here. The next one is the conclusion. You can repeat if to prove it right, and if it is not right, you have to develop another one. Like the first experiment was, or the first hypothesis and experiment was the light button is not working. I disproved it because I tried it, and then I make the new hypothesis, which is the circuit, and I go through the same steps. So these steps in that sequence is very important. And this is one of the questions that you can be asked about. Science never stop, of course, simply because sometimes they have an issue or a phenomena, and they made which is an they observed something, observation, and then they made hypothesis. It's because of this, and they went through the steps, and then they make a theory at the end. And please understand the word theory. Theory is the final word, completely different than all what I talked about so far. It is at the end when I go through observation and then hypothesis and then testing and results, analysis, conclusion. When I go through all these steps and then I repeat at the end, if I prove it right, this is called theory. I want that to be clear. Okay, this is the theory. Like day and night. The theory, which proved to be true because we repeated observation so many times, it's because of the Earth rotating around itself. So it's going to get side of it that's closer to the sun, and the other side is not closer to the sun. This is a theory. Is that hypothesis? No, it's not hypothesis because it's proved. So understand this. So here is what we mean by science never stops. Uh, like in practical way, being a physician, we used to use some antibiotic called tetracycline. Okay, and there are certain uses for tetracycline, like up to like 30 years ago or something, or 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It was a very good treatment for different types of infections until they found out that there are species that developed resistance, and we found out, or they found out, that there are many adverse effects or side effects bad enough to stop using it for these types of infections. And now they mainly use it for skin, for example. So it was a theory that tetracycline is a good treatment for this type of infection. How did they do that? From the beginning to the end. They went through the steps, and they even came to the theory. So we're done. No, science never stopped. We found different information later on, and we can change our mind. Now, critical thinking. Here is theory that I was talking about. Theory is not a prediction. Theory is not hypothesis. Theory is the end result. At the end, when you prove something, how to prove it? Tens of thousands of experiments. Remember this, okay? They did tens of thousands. The theory that we take it now for granted, it's very basic. Everybody know that. How the plants work. They have chlorophyll, and they take the energy from the sun and all that stuff. Now we take it for granted, but it was a theory thousands of years ago. And they did tens of thousands of experiments until they proved it, and they published it, and they criticized it, and they repeated, and everything. At the end, theory is proved. Okay? Is proved means you cannot reject it anymore. You cannot modify it. No, it's proved. But if something later on, like I told you about tetracycline, if something, we use that for many years. Okay, it's been used like for 70, 80 years. So it's supported by tens of thousands of experiments. So it's a theory now. Tetracycline clear this infection. That's it. We're done. Can I reject it or modify it later on? Yes. And this is what we mean by science never stop, because we found out different things. Why don't we modify? What's the modification? We are not going to use tetracycline for lung infection or other types of internal infections. We're going to use it for topical use only, like for ointments and cream. That's what we're going to use it for now. Or in combination with different medications, but not for babies and children. Isn't that a modification from the original theory? Yes. So remember those two. Theory is a final result after tens of thousands of experiments. Even though it's a theory, still it can be modified, it can be rejected if we have more data and we did more investigation. Here is one that's very prominent, but this is very ancient. The germ theory. We take the germ theory, like if you ask elementary school child, he know the germ, right? But in medieval years, they thought that when somebody, like somebody is having lung infection, we call it lung infection now, but at that time, the theory was it's evil spirits. So we're going to try to appease the spirits in order to leave you alone and get out of your body, and so on. So and if somebody said something different, they can punish him, and they can even kill him. because what are you talking about? This is the theory, and we know this is true. Is it true now? No, it is not. It is not. There is a germ theory. You get infection not because of the spirits, and you don't have to appease the spirits. It's actually germ that need a treatment. Okay. This slide is very important, especially this part, cell theory. Are you guys following? Remember, you can stop me anytime you want. Okay. If you have a question, if you want me to repeat something, if you want me to go deeper into something, let me know. It's not just because I'm lecturing, it means you cannot ask. You can ask anytime you want. You can interrupt me, that's totally fine. Cell theory is very important. What's a cell theory? All organisms consist of one or more cells. Memorize it. You have to remember this. Very important, basics. This is the core of the chapter. Okay? This slide is extremely important as a scientific theory. These are all proven. Tens of thousands of experiments were done. You went through all the steps from natural phenomenon, which is this person is having a fever and coughing and so on, until we went all the way until the end. Here, it's a cell. So this is a theory, completely different than hypothesis. Okay. So cell theory, all organisms consist of one or more cells. 1, 10, 100, millions, trillions. How many in the human body? Trillions. You will see different numbers, but remember, trillions. Number 2, the cell is the basic unit of life. How about something less than that? If there is something less than a cell, yes, we will discuss it in future chapters, but memorize this. Remember it. Cell is a basic unit of life. How about inside the cell, there is like mitochondria. Is that the basic? No, it is not. Not enough, because there are certain criteria you have to fulfill in order to say that you aren't actually a cell and you're actually the basic unit of life. Number 3, cell arise from existing cell. Like skin cells, you lose it, another cell will make a new one, and so on. Cell come from cell. So like you don't have like atoms and put them together to make cell. No, cell come from cell. So remember these 3 basic criteria for the cell theory. Germ theory, germs cause infectious disease, not spirits and not anything else. This is proven, it's a theory. Evolution, theory of evolution. Change can occur in the line of descent. You know, the evolution started from the very, very beginning. They said it is bacteria or virus at the beginning, and then bacteria, and then fish, and then monkeys, and whether you believe in this theory or not, from the science point of view, from biology, we have to know that this is the theory of evolution, irrespective of different opinions. Is this is a theory? Yes, it is. So a change can occur in lines of descent. Remember this. Theory of natural selection. Another one. Variation in heritable traits influence the individuals of the population reduce in each generation. So natural selection, where are the dinosaurs now? Disappeared. Why? They were not naturally selected because their heritable traits did not help them to survive. Other animals still exist, other animals. Why? Because their traits help them to move fast, to eat, to do this and that, to defend themselves. So they have their own heritable traits that influence them to stay and reproduce for each generation. It doesn't stop like dinosaurs. So this is natural selection. It's happening. It will continue to happen. And that's why we will see populations disappearing, and other populations will continue. Next part is critical thinking. When you see information like this is the miracle cure. There are a lot of advertising. You can hear, like, if you're opening the radio or searching the net, that this is amazing treatment for energy. You will feel like you are 20 years younger, and should I take it as it is when I hear it? Of course not. This is not critical thinking. This is not science. What should I do? You have to think critical thinking. Critical thinking is evidence-based. Remember this. It's evidence-based. You're telling me this medication is cure for disturbances of sleeping, for energy, for the muscle to be strong. Okay, that's nice. It doesn't mean anything. I'm thinking now the scientific way. That's critical thinking. So show me the evidence. And it's not just like that. It's not just like, show me the evidence and I will show you, here it is. This is a publication that prove it. No, that's not true. Evidence-based thinking is actual evidence. And I will show you what I mean by that. Meaning, it's not an opinion. So you can show me a publication that somebody is writing his opinion or hearsay or something like that. Thank you. This is your opinion. You think that taking garlic will help me to sleep. That's what you think. This is an opinion. Wait a minute. I'm going to show you a publication here. No, there are criteria. So I have to ask about credentials. I have to, of this publication, of the experiment that was done. How many experiments? Motives. If this person making the publication is working for that company to just give something to prove it, or your work, or the scientist is working for science. You have to question that. It doesn't mean that if you work for a company, it's wrong. No, you have to put all of these together. And you have to evaluate. So this is for the source. Is it credible? Is it based on evidence, not an opinion? What are your credentials? What are your motives? This is for the source. For the contents, are you talking about fact or opinion? Is the information that you get can be verified or not? This is fact. Or is it opinion? If it's your opinion, I'm not going to take it. Is it speculation or prediction? I'm not going to take it. I'm going to take the facts. So, source. What do you mean credible information? The author that did this research, is he respected? Or Dr. John James, who graduated last year, and he doesn't have any background, you know? Or Dr. Michael, who is have 15 research published, and it was criticized, and it was proven, and he went through all the steps from one to the end, and he was well known. So this is for the author. How recent? If you want to prove something to me by showing me something that was published 20 years ago, I'm sorry, I'm not going to take it, because it might have changed. So it's usually within 5 years. 10 years would be the maximum, but usually they stick with 2 to 5 years. Motives, I have to take that into consideration. If are you doing a research because you own the business, so you just want to prove something and you're biased or not? What's your motive? Who is sponsoring the research? Is it this company that is trying to prove that garlic will help you in everything? will give you energy and sleep and muscle strength and concentration and memory. You're trying to, so who's sponsoring you? It is the company that's making it. No, this will make a difference. If you're looking over the internet, when you see one of those, it is credible. Then if you see .net or .info or .me or anything else. So remember those three, this is credible. Wikipedia is not a very credible resource or source, because anybody can publish something in Wikipedia. You can search something in Wikipedia and then follow through and find out if it is true or not. Blogs, this is not fact-based. This is somebody, it can be interested. You can read it just for fun or just to read about the opinion. It's not fact-based. I can't take the blog. And you can consult the library for more of that. So here it is. This is testing your information. If you're following with me as we go, do you guys know what should be here? If this is a question, what is something method that is systematic way of getting information about the natural world? And this can be a question for you in quiz or exam. What do you guys think? Can somebody tell me what's here? Anybody know what's here?
Scientific.
It is a scientific method, yes. Scientific method. So this can be something like this. Science never stop. Is that true or false? Depending on what we talked about so far, it is true. Yes. Critical thinking is an objective opinion or evidence-based evaluation of information. Opinion-based or evidence-based?
Evidence-based.
Evidence-based. Yes, evidence-based. Opinion doesn't count. Scientific theories are proven when 100 experiments are completed. Is that true or false? What do you think? Is 100 experiment is good?
Just depends on what the results are.
Well, for the purpose of biology, it is tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. 100 is not enough. For a big theory like this, it is not 100 or 1,000 is not enough. It is hundreds of thousands. Okay, and here are the results. Or I'm sorry, tens of thousands. So remember this: tens of thousands. Okay. If we're asking you if this is a living thing or not, what are the characteristics that you can tell me? I'm telling you, like a cell, animal, plant, and a bed. Which one of those is a living thing? Of course, you know, and you will tell me the bed is not living thing and the others are. Yes. How did you know? We have to know exactly how. Here are the characteristics. Number one, does it take energy and material from the environment or not? Memorize this slide. When you apply this, you will know exactly if this something is a living thing or not. How to know? Does it have the characteristics of life or not? It takes energy and material from the environment. You eat food, water, and you get energy from that. Plants, yes, they take energy from the soil, and they take they take the material from the soil and take energy from the sun, and. Does the bed take energy and material? Of course not. Sense and respond to stimulus. Yes, you can respond to stimulus. If something touch you, you can move away, you can respond. Somebody's talking to you. Even the plants, when the plants, if you like bend on it, it's going to bend. If the sun is coming from one side and not the other side, it's going to move. So yes, it sense and reproduce and respond. Does it reproduce and grow or not? Of course, the bed cannot reproduce or grow. Plants, humans, animals, others can reproduce and grow, bacteria and other things. But it consists of one or more cells. Okay, this is also very, very important. Smallest living unit, and I talked about that before. If there is something less than a cell, yes, we will discuss it later. Inside the cells, there are organelles. It doesn't count. This is the smallest. Less than that is not considered living thing. Homeostasis, maintain homeostasis. This word homeostasis is extremely, extremely important. Okay, core, you have to remember it. What's homeostasis? Homeostasis. Homeo means homogeneous. Stasis means keeping it. So this is internal environment kept at a level to allow the cells and the whole body to survive. Memorize it. Example, homeostasis of your body temperature at 37, which is 98.6. What if my temperature goes up? That's not stable, but your body will bring it down. What if it goes down? Your body will bring it up. At the end, is it kept in the level to allow the body to function in the cells? Yes, then this is homeostasis. So there is homeostasis for your body temperature, homeostasis for your blood pressure, homeostasis for. Your body is always working to keep the internal environment at the level that's needed for the cells and body. And also, the last one, you can undergo evolution, change over time. So living things can take energy from food. Yes, we eat, we burn the food. We will talk about that later. We burn it, we get energy out of it, and we use it. Your living thing. Animals do the same thing. Plants do it in another way. When we eat it, do we extract energy out of the raw material like you're eating bread? There is energy inside that bread. Can you extract it out and use it for different things to keep your cells alive? Yes, then this is one of the characteristics. Do you respond like this? You feel it's cold, you can shiver, you can wear something, you can go in a warm area. So you feel, you sense, and you respond. Even animals, when it's cold, they are going to respond using their fur, or they can go to another place that's warmer, and so on. They do sense and respond. Same for plants. Cells, one more time, repeating. Cells are the basic unit of life. It is an organized unit that can live, reproduce, take energy, have instructions in the form of DNA. This is something that I didn't say before. You have to remember it. Instructions in the form of DNA. Okay. How many cells do we have in our body? Trillions. So if I ask you, is it thousands? Is it hundreds? Is it million? No, it's not even million. Million is not enough. Maybe million per organ, but it is trillion. Can you do homeostasis? If you do, then yes, you are a living thing. What's homeostasis? Keeping things within the normal limits, keeping the environment within the normal limit to allow the cells in the body to survive or to live or to continue. How to do that? Self-regulation, to compensate. Example, it's cold. Self-compensation, your body is going to raise your body temperature somehow by shivering, by covering, by something. It is hot. Is my temperature is going to go up, up, up like this? No, it will go up, and then there is self-regulation. Your body is going to regulate itself. Sweating, moving, this is behavioral. Go to another spot that's not that hot. If you're exercising, you're going to stop. I mentioned sweating, drinking, and so on. So it is self-regulated. The body is going to regulate. Another example, you're not eating and your blood sugar is going down. Well, we have homeostasis. What the homeostasis is going to do? Self-regulation. Your homeostasis somehow, without going into the details, will increase the glucose level in your blood to go back to normal. As long as it stays within the normal range, this is homeostasis. Homeostasis is a very basic word that you need to remember. Definition is extremely important. Characteristics of life, again, reproduction. And reproduction, you make your own kind. Human, human, make human. Animal, animal, make animal, and so on. But it has to be, the instructions has to be on DNA. Remember this, DNA. Here is a question. I don't have enough time, so you guys can just answer it for yourself. When you do the chapter, answer it. So here it is, the answers. Living thing can take energy. It's just repeating. You respond to change. Cells is the smallest unit. Homeostasis is a definition, and DNA. It's just repeating what we already talked about. Now, classification of organisms. We are going to classify the organisms into in different ways because we have about 1.8 million organisms. You cannot go through them. Nobody on earth can go through them just randomly like this. We have to organize it and classify it as follow. We start from domain, going to the kingdom, to the phylum, to the class, to the order, to the family, to the genus, to the species. And here is a mnemonic to remember it. And you have to remember this sequence. You will be asked about it. It's the core of the chapter again. So in order to remember it, dear King Philip came over for green spaghetti. If that's going to help you, to remind you with D for domain, K for kingdom, PH for phylum, K for class, O for order, F for family, green for genus or genera, and spaghetti for species. Humans, where do we fall within this? Here are, look at this. This is the domain. Remember, we start from the domain. I want you to know this. When I say I want you to know this, this is a core. You will be asked about it. So what are the different domains that we have to know? Remember this: bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. Remember those three. What are the basic domains? Bacteria, archaea, eukarya. This is for the domain. What's the next one? Kingdom. What are the kingdoms of eukarya? Why are you focusing on eukarya? Yes, we will talk about the other ones, but I'm going down this one. This domain will bring us to the kingdom, which is protists, plants, fungi, and animals. Okay, this is for the kingdom. What's after the kingdom? The phylum or the phylum. So that what's ours? We're coming from animal and moving down, and we will see more. So where do we belong to? Eukarya. What's eukarya? Let me explain it because it's very important. EU means normal or complete. Karya, also known as karyon, is nucleus. So if you belong to the eukarya, it means your cells have nucleus. There is another versus as opposed to prokarya. Pro means before, so you don't have nucleus. Like bacteria. Does bacteria have nucleus? No, they do not. And that's why if you go back to this, these are the eukarya. Do you see bacteria here? No, bacteria is alone because bacteria is prokarya. I want you guys to do this habit or have this habit of understanding the words, cut it into pieces. Many words can be cut into pieces, and I'll tell you as you go. eukarya, prokarya. Both of them end with suffix karya. Karya referring to the nucleus. Eu means the normal, complete nucleus. Pro means before, not advanced enough to have nucleus. Do you mean bacteria being a prokaryote? Look at this, it's prokaryote. Do you mean that bacteria does not have DNA? No, it does. If it doesn't have DNA, go back to the characteristics of life. If you don't have DNA, you're not a living thing. Bacteria is a living thing, but not in a nucleus, just scattered, not in a nucleus. The nucleus is like a room within, like the manager's room. It's surrounded by a membrane. So bacteria have DNA, yes, not in a nucleus. And that's why we call it prokaryote or prokaryote. So this is the main domain kingdom. So what's our kingdom? It's animals. What are the others? Plants, fungi, and protists. We're not talking about this. We're talking about our kingdom, which is animals. Okay? The animals are, remember this, multicellular, sexually reproductive. Like if you go to like, as opposed to bacteria, it's asexual. Most of them, they just divide. There is no male and female. Sexual reproduction, it's multicellular, unlike bacteria, which is unicellular. There is interior digestive system. Bacteria does not have it. There is mitochondria to make energy. These are the criteria. Moving down, what's our phylum and subphylum? Phylum is also known as chordata. The phylum, our phylum is notochord. Notochord is nerve cord. In ours, it's called the spinal cord. I think we know the spinal cord. And there is bilateral symmetry. When we go further and deeper, you will see that our nervous system is right and left are exactly the same. This is called bilateral symmetry. Subphylum, we are invertebrate. What's a vertebrate? Does it have a notochord, which is a nerve cord or a spinal cord? No, not only that, it's also segmented. And that's why we call it vertebrate. What class? Mammals. Our class is mammals. What do you mean by mammals? There is body hair. We are warm-blooded, not like the fish. We are born alive. The lung is used to breathe air, not like the fish. We have glands, mammary glands specifically, and that's why it's called mammals. And we have a modified jaw and inner ear bones. We will talk about that. The ossicles, one jaw, not couple of. The lower jaw is one, unlike others. Our heart is 4 chambers, and the brain has a large surface area. So remember these for the mammals.
Should we be memorizing the this triangle and the like subtext on these slides?
Yes, you need to memorize this.
Okay.
Order is primates. Our order is primates. It's diverse, and it includes, beside us, it's monkeys and apes. What does that mean? It means we have 4 limbs. We will go more than that. 4 limbs, do you use 2 or 4? This is something else. We're going to the family. But generally speaking, primates, not only us for now. We're using the apes and monkeys. We have 4 limbs. We have the collarbones, which is the neck. We can move our shoulder. Our eyes are in the front, not in the side like the fish. And dexterity is an important one, which is the fine movements of the hands. We can use our fine movements, okay? So as the monkeys can also do that. But intelligence. So these are criteria that you have to remember. Most importantly, those 2 and the limbs. You need to remember this, but we belong to primates. What is our family now? It's hominid. Hominid. So now we're not into the order which in which the monkeys and apes was included. Now we are in a hominid. We don't have tails, unlike the other two. So now we're moving down. And we stand in two legs. Okay, this is distinguishing from the others. We have well-developed forearm. We have 5 fingers and 5 toes. And we can oppose our thumbs. Oppose is like this, like your thumb can touch the other fingers. So we call it homo. Okay, hominid or hominid. We refer to it. Hominid is the family, and then we go to the genus, which is human being. All of us are human beings. And if that's the case, we have bipedalism, which we use 2. We walk on 2, not on 4, and we can use tools. Last one is our species, which is the sapien, and that's why they say Homo sapien. If you hear this word, this is combining genus and species. Our distinctive human nature is something that you have to know. This slide is important, very important. I want you to memorize this slide specifically, even more important than the others for humans. Manual dexterity. I talked about this. Fine movements of the hand. Upright stance. You stand up. You're not walking on 4. You have your brain that have a large neocortex. What's a neocortex? Is the cortex, the cover of the brain that can do higher functions. You can predict. You can think. You can analyze. You have the capacity of sophisticated language and analysis. You can learn new language. You know your language, and you can learn more. And social behavior, you can develop those. This slide is very important. Natural selection and evolution is something that we need to know. There is a video here. We don't have the time to go through it. I advise you guys to watch it. You're not going to be asked about it, by the way, but it will just help you to understand. Our place use this, and this is what I was just talking about. Extremely important. Humans, we are eukarya. I told you that you means normal or complete. We have a complete nucleus. Do you mean we have DNA? No. I mean we have DNA in a nucleus. DNA alone is not enough, because bacteria is not eukarya. It's prokarya. But they do have DNA, not in nucleus. Scattered. Evolution. We change over time. Okay. And this is what evolved. Well, I mean, if we use the evolution, we are using manual dexterity, unlike the other older. And then upright stance, our brain with the size, with the cortex, with the social, with the analysis, and so on. This will be the last slide right here. And this slide is also very, very important. They will ask you about it. This level, how they can ask me about it. They can ask you, what's the smallest level, not of life? The smallest level is here. I hope you guys are following. Smallest unit of life is cell. But we need to understand what's in the cells. So here is the sequence. You have to memorize this sequence as it is, especially this part. From organism to population to community to the ecosystem to the biosphere. This part here, we will do it anyway in the next chapters. So we start with the atoms, put atoms together, molecules, put the molecules together, macromolecules, together organelles. You put the organelles, you make the cell. For the 5th time, the cell is the basic unit of life. Cells together will make tissues. Tissues together will make organ, like heart, like stomach, like blood vessels. You put the organs together, you make the organ system, like my heart plus my arteries plus my veins. This is called cardiovascular system. My lung and my trachea and my alveoli and my larynx, this is the respiratory system. So these are organs like lung, trachea, bronchi, and you put them together to make a system, respiratory system. In this example here, cardiovascular system. You put the systems together, this is the organism. Respiratory system plus cardiovascular system plus nervous system plus digestive system plus will make the organism. Organism will be part of population, and population is part of the community. Okay, like you is part of the population in America, which is part of the community, which is humans, which is part of the ecosystem that includes other things around us, and it's part of the whole biosphere. And this is the highest level, the most inclusive level. You have to memorize this. Biosphere is the most inclusive and the highest level. Okay, which is we live on Earth. Yes, this is our ecosystem. But are there other systems beside the ecosystem that takes us and animals and plants and others? Yes, there is hydrosphere, which is the water, atmosphere, air, ecosphere, which is the interaction between the living and non-living. You need to know that. Lithosphere, which is the solid part that we live on. Okay. So here it is. You can use this to remind yourself with that sequence. Are they going to ask you about this? Yes. How? My expectation is they give you a sequence, different sequences, and ask you which is the correct sequence. I'll give you an example. Which of the following is the correct sequence moving up from the less inclusive to the most inclusive? And then they give you like organism, population, community, ecosystem, biosphere. This is one. Or organ system, community, ecosystem, population, biosphere. Wrong. Organism, population, community, biosphere, eco. Wrong. Okay. Tissue, organ system, organism. Correct. Did you guys get this point I'm trying to make? You have to memorize it in that sequence. Here are the key concepts that we learned, and this is just a summary. I'm not going to go through it again because it's just repeating what we already talked about until you come to this, which is the biosphere. So let me stop recording.